Welcome to City Talk, another Zoom remote edition, as we are all isolated during the seemingly never-ending global pandemic. I'm John McIntire, and say hello to our first guest, the guy who is the head of the whole shooting match, the head of the whole shebang, the king of the cable station and the YouTube channel, for that matter, for the city of Pittsburgh, veteran broadcaster and all-around groovy guy, David Feiner. David, welcome to City Talk.
You know, John, thank you. First of all, thank you. I was thinking about this the other day. We saw each other last week for the first time in
months,
maybe 6 or 7 years ago or something.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about this. You know, in the 90s, when SNL was, when Saturday Night Live hit its 15th anniversary, they started having contests between the hosts like Tom Hanks and Steve Martin and people who have hosted the show a certain number of times.
Right, the Five Timers Club, yeah.
The 5 times, yes. So now that I think this is my third or fourth time on the show.
Well, one says the host, but I guess that counts.
But so have you run out of people?
I've run out of people who are willing to tolerate me, but I intend to find more. I intend to be vigilant and vigorous in my pursuit of more humans.
That's great. Good to hear.
Especially during the
Thank you for having me, John. I'm glad to be here.
Certainly, glad to have you. So you are originally, are you a Southern New England boy? Is that correct to say?
Yeah, I never thought of it that way, but that's not how New Englanders talk, John. But
when I worked in Rhode Island, they said it was Southern New England. That's the only reason I said that. But you're from Massachusetts, so maybe that's a Northern New England. I have no idea.
Well, no.
No, okay.
Well, if you were in Providence, John, you were only an hour from where I grew up. I grew up in Plymouth, Massachusetts. For those that their ears start ringing, that is Plymouth Rock, Mayflower, Plymouth Plantation, 1620, Thanksgiving, all that.
Now, does everybody get their own Plymouth Rock?
Yes, it's part of the initiation process. You get stoned by many people, and if you don't die, you get to.
And so is that where Bob Dylan got everybody must get stoned?
Absolutely.
He really is a thief. You know what I mean? He's a plagiarist. It's true.
Yes.
I'm still a fan, but you know, he borrows.
Yeah.
And so how did you get into broadcasting?
Well, I always, from a very young age, I knew I wanted to be on TV. I wanted something to do with TV. My parents, now, John, you're a lot older than me, but you'll know this. My parents,
I don't look it though.
What's that?
I don't look it, but go ahead.
My parents had a 12-inch black and white Zenith TV. It had a green plastic shell, a little screen, UHF and VHF knobs, and I used to take that thing apart all the time. And then I'd try to put it back together. And I'd always would have 1 or 2 or 3 pieces still on the floor, but it worked.
So those big tubes, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. I remember we had a TV, and if it wouldn't work, sometimes you had to press the tube in for like 30 seconds, and then it would work again.
So I was always interested in the concept of television. When I got to high school, I wanted to be the next great anchor on SportsCenter, but then realized really quickly I have a face for radio. And when I got to college, I learned that there were things going on behind the camera, and I got really interested in those things. It seemed like those people were having a lot more fun than the people sitting in front of the cameras reading teleprompters. I worked in public access stations all over Massachusetts. And I met a woman from Squirrel Hill. She was doing her PhD at the University of Rhode Island, near where you used to work. And fell in love, got married, and we spent some time in Vermont. We spent about 3 years in Vermont, and we moved to Pittsburgh in 2012. And
now, were you working at television stations in New England and Vermont, which is of course part of New England?
Yeah, so I was, we were living in the, if for those geography majors out there, we were living in the bottom southwest corner of Vermont. We were 2 miles from the New York state line and 8 miles from the Massachusetts state line. And I was working in Northwest Massachusetts in a town called Williamstown, also in television. And I've just, it's been since 1994, but 1998 full time. And I have worked in all kinds of roles, from TV show host to producer to director, editor, camera person. I've really covered the entire spectrum of working in the television industry, I think.
No doubt about it. And what school did you go to?
So I originally went to the University of Hartford in Hartford, Connecticut. My father used to say the reason I left is he couldn't afford the cover charge anymore. I left college after 2 years. I did not go back to college for 16 years. I went online and got a degree online because there are still places that want a college degree to go along with your resume. And knowing that my wife and I were going to move to a place that I had no one to vouch for me, I knew the degree was going to be important. Thankfully, I did that, and the jobs that I've gotten here in Pittsburgh are mainly because of the college degree.
So in order to get the job you have now for the city, one has to have a college degree.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, this is I know we're going to talk about this later, but the psychology aspect of this and the communicative aspect of this is a lot more than the television aspect of it.
So when you first arrived here and started working at the city, was that when, whatever you call it, the cable station had dozens of people as opposed to 4? You're a lean, mean fighting machine these days.
No, I was here a lot of time after that.
Oh, okay.
My understanding is that in the 80s and 90s, the City Channel was a robust staff of dozens of people, engineers, producers, writers, and people were running around doing the things that a broadcast channel would do. But over the years, because of budget cuts and a lot of issues that happened before I got here, the staff had been whittled down to 4 plus a manager. And so when I arrived, it was 2 employees who had been here for quite some time. I'm sorry, a manager who had been here for well over 30 years, 2 employees who had been here for quite some time, another employee who had been here maybe about a year and a half, and then I started. So I was the newest person. I was the lowest person on the priority list.
Well, your lean, mean fighting machine may be good news for taxpayers who might be glad to hear that the 4 of you are doing the job that may have taken 30 to do a long time ago.
But I think the job I think government television in general has evolved quite a bit. Back then, the channel was doing a lot more human interest, Pittsburgh-based, not necessarily government-based programming. And when the staff numbers were cut so significantly, we had to focus on the things that were the most important, that weren't superfluous. So government meeting coverage, press conferences, information programming, trying to get the information about the city of Pittsburgh government out to the taxpayers and the residents who live here.
And you have to follow certain guidelines, as in there shouldn't be any political discussion because this is just supposed to be information for taxpayers, not fighting about politics.
Right. So you won't see candidate debates on our channel. You won't see candidates doing testimonials. So if you were to tune in to our channel on Tuesday or Wednesday at 10 a.m., you would see city council meeting and discussing the business for the city. It's the minutia of government. If you want to see how a bill goes from introduction to discussion to law, this is the place to do it. And
have you made your own Schoolhouse Rock video for the city, or are you just talking about actually watching the city council meetings?
I've said to the staff many times, and I'm sure they're sick of hearing me say it, I don't want to be the first anything. I want to be I'm sorry, I don't want to be the second anything. I want to be the first something. And so as much as I loved the Schoolhouse Rock videos when I was a child, I don't think that's the way we want to go.
And you've developed, in addition to CityTalk, which you were in on the ground floor, you've developed a couple other programs since then, in addition to city council meetings and press conferences.
Yeah, so when I took over the channel, I wanted to diversify the programming quite a bit. I felt that not only were we not doing a lot of programming at all, but what we were doing was just so bland. So I brought in a lot of ideas. And I think I'm smart enough to know that a new manager doesn't come in and just say, this is how we're doing it, and sweeping changes and everything's different and just, this is it. So I tried to incorporate some of those ideas. So one of the things I wanted was, I wanted annual interviews with the mayor. I figured that the mayor should have a platform as the elected leader of the city to explain, not in 30-second sound bites, what he wanted to accomplish. Your interviews with city employees like this. We started doing, a couple of years ago, we were doing these 90-second employee showcase episodes where we were finding city employees and letting them tell their stories in 90 seconds or less. Josiah Gilliam last year was doing Our Neighbor's Keeper. Rick Williams from the mayor's office started doing Inclusion Counts. The mayor started doing this equity series once COVID hit. So diversifying, we have station IDs from not only city employees, but people who are well known in the Pittsburgh area. My staff laughed at me the first year I did it, but I did in the winter time, in the middle of the night, I played the City Channel Pittsburgh fireplace. So instead of just looking at the bulletin board over and over, there's a fireplace. And the running joke in my house is, if I see it on, I walk up to it, ooh, it's nice and warm. Just different things that are not all gavels banging press conferences, just some different things so people can see the government in a different light.
All right, well, we found out a little bit about David Feiner, the person, and David Feiner, the manager. Let's find out about new things he's learning and how he has coped with COVID when we come back on City Talk in a moment. Stay with us.
When you can't find a place to park, it's important to remember, sidewalks are for everyone.
Welcome back to City Talk. We're with David Feiner. He is king of the cable station. Is Director of Communications, do you have a title?
No one's ever called me the king of the cable station. I can tell you that. I think you're the only one that does call me that.
Okay.
My title is Communication Technology Manager, and it's evolved a little bit over the years, but in plain English, I am the manager for City Channel Pittsburgh.
Makes sense to me. So suddenly, instead of being able to go to city council meetings and go in person to the mayor's press conferences and whatever other events people were staging in the halls of the city county building, you couldn't go anywhere, and because none of us could because of COVID. So how on earth did you evolve?
Wow, it was not easy. Like I said earlier, I've worked in television for a long time, like you, not nearly as long as you, but like you. I had never done anything with the internet. I checked my email, played solitaire, that kind of thing, like my dad used to do. But I didn't even know where to start. And city council said, we're not meeting in person anymore. We're not meeting on the phone. We've got to be able to meet on the internet. And my staff took this opportunity to take a crash course in internet broadcasting. So while I was meeting with city council and explaining to them what we were doing or what we were trying to do, the staff downloaded, played with, tested, and came to me and said, we are going to suggest Zoom. That we think this is the best option for us for everything we need. And the four of us jumped on Zoom within days. We had a how-to guide. We were streaming to YouTube. I had never done any kind of streaming before in my life. And we just knew that we had to do it. It was new, it was exciting. I use the word exciting, but it wasn't exciting. It was very scary. Everybody remembers suddenly we're told to stay at home. We're not going outside. We're not going anywhere. But it was exciting because we were doing something new. And my staff, Alex, Bill, and Joy, they really enjoy challenges. And so what we were able to do is take everybody from being together in person and put them on the computer. We hosted training seminars with all council members and their staffs.
Is that difficult? Are they not necessarily technological geniuses?
Well,
and I am not, by the way, as you know.
John, look, if you're able to do this, anybody can do this. But we were able to, the how-to guides, we really wrote them in layman terms. We didn't use technical terminology. And we told them, if you can get into the training seminar, that's 95% of your work. Once you're in, we showed them where the mute button was, how to turn on and off their camera, why it was important to mute themselves or turn off their camera. But I would say within a week and a half, everything's all fuzzy now, but I would say within a week and a half, we were up and running from council meetings in person to council meetings on Zoom. It's really a testament not only to City Channel staff, INP staff, but all employees. Everybody just kind of had to figure it out. And I think everybody's been doing a great job so far.
So are all the council folks at their various homes, or sometimes they come into the chambers?
For the most part, they are at home. There have been a few instances that they go to their office, not to chambers.
Right.
It's been a long time since I think the fifth floor has been full. I've been to the fifth floor, I think once in the last 10 months.
Where the city council chambers are in the mayor's office, as you well know. Yeah. I'm blown away by the technology. I've been doing occasionally, in my capacity as a regular human, not as a CityTalk host, Facebook Live. And it amazes me that when I first was doing live shots in local TV news, you had to have an engineer and a photographer and somebody who knew what they were doing with the mast up and down. Now you just have an iPhone and you press a button and you're live.
Yeah,
crazy.
It's actually quite amazing. I remember a couple of years ago, Mayor Peduto hosted the vice premier of China. And there was a lot of Chinese press here covering the visit. And many of the reporters were holding a selfie stick and their iPhone and just talking. And I remember thinking, that's the future of television, is not a camera person, not cables, wires, backpacks, tripods, batteries. It's going to be phones. I sort of forgot about that until this all happened. But you're right. The Facebook Live, YouTube stream, we have all learned as much as we can, as quickly as we can, and we've tried to perfect it over time so that mistakes aren't made. One of the things that people may not know is when you're doing a YouTube stream or a Facebook Live stream, is that the stream is actually anywhere between 20 and 40 seconds behind what's happening, kind of like your old 7-second delay.
Yeah.
And So starting those streams takes some time. And so I will say to the council members or to the mayor's office, okay, just wait for live on YouTube or live on Facebook in the top left of your screen. And as you know, John, 20 seconds of dead air is a long time. And so people are not used to sitting silently. That's the hardest part, is having people wait, because they can't just start right away. They have to wait for our cue.
So you're yet another city employee who appears to like his job. You appear to enjoy what you do for a living.
I do. I really do. I've been fortunate enough to work in many different places with many different people for many different bosses. And this is just, when I got this promotion, my wife said, this is really your dream job. And I think it is. The things that the talents that I have and the knowledge that I have, I've really been able to tackle this job, I think, the best I can. I really enjoy coming to work for people that I respect, people that I like, and respect and like me. And I think it comes across. The channel, if you look at the channel 10 years ago versus now, I didn't do the work per se, but I nudged the staff to do a little more, make it a little prettier. And I think it shows with the quality of the production, the amount of production. And I really enjoy coming here and giving the city my opinion or my talent to make City Channel Pittsburgh better.
And how have you been coping with COVID?
You're going to have to define coping.
The isolation, the inability to go wherever you want, do whatever you want. Your wife, just being.
I think this
being
is
being married in an enclosed space for an extended period of time.
Depending on how you look at it, I come to work, so we're not. She is working at home, and my son's in a hybrid system going to school, but we're not on top of each other, in each other's face all day long, every day. Coping, I think the longer this goes on, the more I wonder why it's still going on. Medical experts that I know and respect have said all it takes is 4 weeks of everyone wearing a mask and we'd be over this. I don't know. I don't know how well I'm coping. I just want it over, and I want people to be safe, and I want people to get back to some level of normal. I remember hearing someone say, so I'm a huge sports fan, and there's nothing more that I want to do than go watch a baseball game. But I don't know if I want to be at the first Pirates game when fans are allowed in the stands. It's kind of like when you're at an amusement park and it's pouring rain and then it stops and they say, okay, everybody, free rides on the roller coaster. And it's just so they can test the brakes. I don't know if, you know what I mean?
Yes, I do. And do you have any final words of wisdom for the citizens of Pittsburgh?
I assure you that we are working as hard, if not harder, than before. And there are people who work here that love what they do, have a lot to offer. And once normal is back, I assure you, we will be better, stronger, faster than we were before.
David Feiner, king of the cable station. Thank you so much for joining us on City.
Do I get a crown?
Yes, that's being worked on.
Okay. Thanks, John. I really appreciate it.
It was good to have you, and we'll see you next time on another edition of City Talk. Have a great day.